Another Thursday, a shot in the arm, if you will, CIF Championship weekend. We have it for you.
It was a great weekend, but it was also Tarek Fatal's birthday. I'm Randy Rosenblum, and this is SoCal Prep Report. Good day, and we had some good games in both the CIF Southern section and the City section in championship football. But as we bring in Tarek Fatal, he had a big birthday. Congratulations.
Yeah, I did a whole lot of nothing. 36 years old. There's not much to celebrate, but hey, another year of healthy living, so I'm grateful.
You know who else did a whole lot of nothing? Corona Centennial.
Oh, no.
Sorry for the transition, but you gave it to me, okay? Here it is.
Yeah.
D1.
Yeah, man.
This was the big one. We waited for the big one. Finally, no Mater Dei, no Bosco, no Mission Viejo, Santa Margarita Centennial, the one we waited for. 42-7, Tarek?
It wasn't even close. It was 14-0. Centennial got a couple stops. It was 14-7, and everyone's thinking, okay, here we go. We got a ball game with, 2.5 quarters to go. And it was I believe 28-7 at halftime, and within the first possession, Santa Margarita scored 35-7, and that was all she wrote. Here are some highlights here. Trent Mosley, 292, 10 catches, 4 touchdowns, 2 of those were rushing. I mean, it was really, really bad. There are teams that think that they can challenge Trent Mosley with one-on-one coverage, and that just doesn't go well. And I was shocked that Matt Logan didn't try and do something. Make someone else beat you. I mean, look, there's only 2 guys on that side of the field. It just was mind-boggling to me. So, Trent Mosley, kudos to you for taking advantage.
That was just too easy for Mosley. Obviously, the game MVP, terrific year. Injured part of the season. But, Tarek, you believe even though he played half the season, he could be the MVP of the season in prep football.
I do. I think it'd be hard to ignore his impact on the team once he rejoined. I believe his first game back was against Mater Dei, and they won. He scored a touchdown. They won 7-6. So I think it's really interesting. From then on out, they only lost 1 game since he returned, and that was to St. John Bosco.
And also, if you go back to the semifinals, don't overlook what he did against Oulu. He dominated the game in the opening quarter, and he just put Oulu away. Early on, it was all Mosley. They did a great job of getting him involved, and that goes back to the coach, Carson Palmer. How about Palmer in his first season at his alma mater, wins the big show?
Yeah, and I think, there are rumblings that, depending on what they do against De La Salle, he could win a national championship. I personally don't see that happening, although maybe the outlets give him the nod because of his big name, and it's more of a storyline, so I kind of get that. But for the most part, it is a mythical national championship. They won't play for it. But, you beat De La Salle, that's 12-0, and you beat them by like 4 touchdowns. It's hard not to say that maybe you're the best team in the country.
No way in this environment will a 3-team squad.
I agree with that.
Santa Margarita.
I agree with that.
Again, this goes back to the Texas argument in college football. They'll probably not get in the final 12 because they have 3 losses. 3 losses in a poll that's arbitrary. There are teams all over the country that are unbeaten.
Right.
There's no way they're going to win the national title. That doesn't matter. It's been a phenomenal year for the Eagles and Trent Mosley, Carson Palmer, and company. You care about winning your division championship, and they win the highest division in the Southern Section, D1. Let's go to D2. This was a really fun game for Los Alamitos. Now, San Clemente had beaten them near the end of the year. San Clemente knocked off Los Alamitos when they were 8-0. Revenge for the Griffins.
That's why I picked the Griffins to win this game. I thought very great. A kudos to the Alpha League. So both these teams are in the Alpha League. What a great year the Alpha League had. Mission Viejo goes Division I playoffs. These 2 teams are in the Division II final, and Edison, I think, was a game away from being in the Division III final. So a great league representation. Los Alamitos, I think, was trailing early in this game and then came back and won. Congratulations to Ray Fenton, the head coach.
You love Ray Fenton.
So
do I. I also like Lenny Ibarra, their great player. Had about 100 yards, a touchdown or 2 in the game. He does that every week. But I need a shout-out to go out to Colin Creason, the quarterback. He hit 13 straight passes in the second half. He really developed as the season went on. Very accurate thrower of the football, and Creason was terrific in the title tilt.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about Los Alamitos, it's one of the, really high-end second-tier teams. And so that's what Division II. Division II, I would argue, is the toughest division to win. It might not be the most talented because Division I's so loaded, but you kind of know, well, I guess this year there was a little bit different, so we didn't know who was going to win it. That was the beauty of it. However, most of the time, Division II, 1 through 16, anyone can make it. And San Clemente actually showed that.
Here's another story that was great this year. Pacifica out in Oxnard. Young quarterback in Lee, the junior, had a magnificent season. They go undefeated. They beat up on Palos Verdes in a very difficult game. They won going down the stretch with a big touchdown late, 20-10.
Yes.
So it was 20-10, right?
The score was 20-10, and there was a little drama at the end of the game. Pacifica of Oxnard scored a touchdown with no time remaining, and it was 14-10 with 6 seconds to go, 4th and 2, and they ended up running a play and scoring a touchdown. And then there was some hoopla after the game, and they ended up shaking hands. But nevertheless, the Pacifica Tritons did win the game.
Isaiah Phelps had a big game, over 100 yards rushing for the Tritons. No Ryan Rakowski. He was injured, didn't play. I picked Palos Verdes last week, but I thought the great quarterback was going to play. The junior, he was out. I would have picked Pacifica had I known Rakowski wasn't going to play.
Yeah, he's a top end. He's like a 4-star kid, and he's got all kinds of offers, and he's the reason why they got there. So for him not to play in the final with a broken non-throwing hand, I think his thumb is broken. That's a tough loss. And by the way, I'm of the opinion, shoot, if he plays in that game, they probably win.
So you agree with me that they would have won the game?
Yeah, I mean, now, kind of Monday morning quarterbacking it, the fact that Palos Verdes was able to, they did a lot of wildcat, which, if we're going to break this down a little bit more, Palos Verdes probably hadn't run wildcat all year long, but they're trying to think to themselves, okay, well, how are we going to win the championship game without our star quarterback? So they went wildcat. There was no wildcat film for Pacifica to go off of, so that's probably what kept that game close. If Palos Verdes plays a regular game with Ryan Rakowski, it's easy to say after the score was so close that they would have won, but their film would have been prepped for because they would have came in with stuff they've been doing all year.
Rakowski's a great junior quarterback. He'll come back next year. We saw him at the luncheon with the cast on. I still thought he was going to play, but obviously, as you say, no way.
Yeah.
And because of it, Palos Verdes goes down, and give credit to Oxnard Pacifica. They remain unbeaten. Moving ahead to D4, La Habra, the Highlanders, year in and year out, are just a tremendous team. We don't talk about their quarterback, David Mitchell, enough. He's a guy that threw for over 2,500 so far this year. He runs close to 700 yards, hits a high percentage, 30 touchdowns to 7 picks, and he was the difference again, knocking off San Jacinto. But again, Mitchell's a great quarterback. Again, we don't talk about him because there's so many great players around Southern California.
Yeah, I think Frank Mazzota won his 7th or 8th CIF title, which is pretty remarkable. One of the better, eight as you're showing me, 8 titles now. One of the better, probably, you talk about not talking about David Mitchell enough. We don't talk about Coach Mazzota enough. He's one of the greater head coaches in the Southland. So congratulations to La Habra.
Yeah, and again, Mazzota gets his teams prepared come tournament time. Tarek hit it on the button with the 8 championships. Let's talk about Tarek's favorite story of the year, I think.
Yeah,
Rio
sure.
Hondo Prep dominating Redondo Union 29-7. I thought Redondo Union was big and physical and would knock around a team that only has 82 boys in the school. I was wrong here. Rio Hondo Prep, their execution level so high, and their margin is wide. Look, they win by 22.
And they do it without Noah Peñaneri, who's basically a 2-time CIF Player of the Year. He'll probably win CIF Player of the Year this year again, even though he didn't play in the final. I think he tried to play 2 plays and then didn't go. Look, Redondo Union's only score was a 99-yard touchdown from Bo Osmus. So really one broken
early
play.
In the game.
Yeah, it was like the first quarter, and I think they went up 7-0. So literally one broken play is all Redondo Union had offensively. I don't even think Cole Leinert passed for over 100 yards. I mean, it was a remarkable game for Rio Hondo Prep. And I'll tell you this much, that's what makes this story so great. Throughout, here's their celebration. Thank you for the video. I think what's so cool about this is you're talking about a school over the past 3 years hasn't lost a section playoff game. They're 40-4 in their last 3 years altogether. And all of their playoff wins except one are against public schools with an average enrollment of about 1,800 kids. Redondo Union's enrollment, 3,000.
Let's go back to this championship here with Rio Hondo Prep. They won in what, D9?
9.
Then D7.
Yep.
Now D5. I've kidded with their coach. They'll go to D3, then D1
Yeah.
over the next couple years. But really, to matriculate up the ladder, pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. I mean, this isn't too far off for all you soccer. It's the only thing I can think of. It'd be, like being in the English Premiership and you get promoted every year. I mean, Wrexham did it for those that follow soccer, but it's very impressive to continue to keep the standard. It's one thing to go up and then have a good run or maintain, but to go up a division and then win it 3 years in a row is beyond impressive.
D6, all Ventura, all Cougars. They play good football out in Ventura County. They knocked off St. Pius, and they did it handily, as you can see, 63-28. The offense was great, but I have to hone in on Tristan Phillips, their linebacker who just committed to Oregon. 7 sacks. 7 sacks in the game for Phillips.
When Ventura beat Agora in the semifinal pretty handily, and Agora, I want to say Agora only scored like 7, maybe 14 points. Agora loves to pass the ball. Super high octane offense through the air. So when I saw Ventura was able to defend that well, I knew they were going to be, I picked them to win because St. Pius wants to air it out and spread it out and use their athletes. And Ventura was able to put pressure on the quarterback, defend the pass, and get the victory.
Barstow in a very good football game over Apple Valley 10-7. Barstow, they are the Sun Devils. They knocked off the Aztecs. That's the first title for Barstow in 58 years.
Yeah, remarkable. There were a couple big-time CIF champions that hadn't won in a long time. I think Montebello hadn't won in like 90 years or something like that. So there was some fun. Redondo Union, I think, was in the final for the first time in like 60-something, 70 years. Look, it's really fun. These CIF championships, you live in lore forever because you go into the history books. There's nothing like lifting a section title.
Speaking of going in the history books, how about Beckman? Their first ever title
There you go.
for the Patriots. They knock off Brea Olinda by a 30-24 score. This is a game that, as you can see, went into overtime in D8. Maki Zakowski, 112 yards. Zakowski with 3 touchdowns. He's been their star player all year. Maki had the winning touchdown, a run in the overtime.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous season. Again, I'll just repeat myself. I think sometimes when you think about winning a CIF title, it may take those kids a few years. There may be like a reunion, 10 years. They may never win a CIF title again in football, but you did it this year, and that'll live forever.
I want to go back to Beckman again for a moment. There was a point at the end of the game. They were down by 3.
This is a good story.
They needed to kick a field goal. They brought on their junior kicker, Wimberly. The snap was high, and Lee, the holder, reaches way up, brings it down, saves the day. Wimberly makes the kick. They go into overtime, and then they get the winning touchdown.
Special teams.
But the coaching staff after the game said the MVP of the game was Lee, the holder.
Forgetting the
You
hold.
never see that, do you?
Forgetting the hold down. Well, I mean, obviously, without the field goal, they don't get to overtime, correct? So,
That is
I mean,
correct.
A huge play, and it is quite interesting. If you're going to bring that up, it's interesting. All year long, you practice, you train, you focus, you watch film, you're in the weight room, and it's those small moments of things you would never think to be main ingredient for a championship season, and it all came down to the guy catching a high snap and putting that hold down. And I'd like to think that moment wasn't forged in that moment. It was forged through countless reps and practice to make sure that if that moment ever came, he could do it, and he did.
If memory serves me right, it's starting to go, as you can tell. I believe Tyson Lee was the 3rd string holder, and the first 2 guys got hurt.
Okay.
So here's Tyson Lee. His moment is holding, and he's the star.
Fantastic.
And to get this shout out for a holder, for a guy like that, is phenomenal.
That is fantastic. And again, I would imagine even if you're the 3rd stringer, there's some reps, there's some work in there where you felt prepared. And if there wasn't, that's even more impressive that he was able to deal with it in that moment.
All right, let's move ahead. Valley Christian, the nickname of the team is the Defenders. Well suited. 14-12 over the Ramona Rams.
I want to say, unless I'm thinking of another school, this is Valley Christian Cerritos. I want to say they won a CIF title or got to a final recently. This is a small school that finds itself in the mix, down in those lower divisions. So kudos. Ramona won a CIF state title, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. So these are small programs. I mean, Ramona's a big public school, but these are smaller programs that play at lower levels, and clearly they know how to find success.
Here's some good things for Hillcrest. They won a championship as well. All these teams should be saluted. Hillcrest over Taquez, 63-34. That's D10. Moving ahead to D11. We're going to check out the next score on our board. This would be Valley View knocking off Baldwin Park. Impressive win there, shutting them out.
Yeah, I think, Valley View just had a few extra plays, and that's what it comes down to. That score was a lot closer than it indicates, but Baldwin Park, great season.
We saw Santa Paula on our air early in the year in our city package lose to Narbonne. Santa Paula, the Cardinals get all the way to a championship game in D12, but Grace out of Simi Valley. They used to be Grace Brethren, now just rebranded to Grace, 48-16.
Yeah, this is a school that did not even have a football program in 2021. They were a powerhouse. The school said, you know what, this is getting too big. Look at the fog they had to play in. I have actually a couple families that are part of that program, and they said it was like something out of a movie. It was pretty cool. That being said, Grace, what a tremendous run for Coach Tom Coate. They didn't have a program. They had to do 2 years of 8-man football. Then they come back to 11. It's only their third year back with 11-man football. You thought the Rio Hondo prep story was good. This roster only has 28 kids on it, and they won the CIF title.
And doing it in the fog.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Santa Paula's not used to that kind of fog, so was that known as the Fog Bowl now? Is that what we're going to call it?
Yeah, the Fog Bowl. Oh, you know what? Now that we're seeing the score now, okay, I thought Montebello won. They lost.
Oh, my goodness. Woodbridge beat them.
Yeah.
Woodbridge from
that's
Irvine.
correct.
This is a good game, though. 24-23 for Woodbridge as they win their championship in D13, a one-point game. Can't argue with that. And then the final division is South El Monte getting a championship over Pioneer. Another low-scoring game, 14-6. For South El Monte.
Yeah, I think what I read was maybe that Montebello got to a CIF final for the first 9 years. I kind of thought they won it. But yeah, I know that's a fact because Woodbridge is playing in the regional final, so that makes sense. That being said, I think at the end of the day, look, you strive and you work hard. Doesn't matter at what level to win a CIF championship. So congratulations to all the coaches and players.
Another running clock in a big game. We saw it in the Santa Margarita game, right?
So discouraging.
They literally clocked Corona Centennial. So Tarek and I take a nice drive out to LA Southwest College to take a look at this open division football game. And this is what we got. 36-0 for the Colts, their 12th city championship overall. Crenshaw had this marvelous run to the finals. Everybody's talking up the Cougars. And the Colts blasted them. It was scoreless for a quarter and in a 7-minute period. 7 minutes and 5 seconds. In the second quarter, all 36 points.
It was like touchdown, botched punt, touchdown, pick six, punt return, all in 7 minutes, game over. Running clock in the fourth quarter. I mean, some really, really good plays in that Carson game.
Yeah, Darren Ponton was the guy. Ponton intercepted a ball, had a pick six in that run. He also had a punt return for a touchdown. The celebration after a happy Colts team. They deserved to win the title. They were obviously the dominant team. Fields, their quarterback, is really good. Here's a short touchdown run for Zach Brock, the junior running back, able to drive it in. Then there's another touchdown we're going to see. Came up right again in this 7-minute period. Fields to Royal Moore.
Yeah, I mean, it just opened things up. And at a certain point, look, as good as the offense all looks right now in this video, it was the defense that really set them up. Again, there was like a fumble recovery, a pick six, special teams. There was a punt return for a touchdown. It set them up for short yardage and quick touchdowns.
We were down on the field. We watched these kids celebrate. How much fun is this to watch this and for them to participate in a celebration like this?
Yeah, I think it's what these kids play for. It's what the coaches coach for. You get that moment, you get to raise the plaque, and you get to celebrate with your teammates. And again, you've just basically cemented a memory forever.
Really did. And there it is, that celebration down on the field. All right, let's talk about the real game. Played on the same field right before. Maybe the game of the year in Southern California. 63-58 Rams. They scored twice in the last minute. In between, Marquez scored. So there was 3 lead changes. They win on a Hail Mary, Michael Gonzalez. And here we're going to see that Hail Mary to
Take it away, Randy.
Nick Fonseca, huh?
Go ahead.
Nicholas Fonseca, here's the throw.
Fonseca.
Huh?
Fonseca,
yeah.
yes.
Fonseca, what'd I say?
Fonseca. That's okay.
He conned him. Fonseca, here's the great catch in the air. Sensational play by Nick. And it's like a Houdini act the way he pulled the ball out.
Well, there's no pulling it out. The ball, it was a jump ball, and the ball gets tipped, and it just fell straight to him. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So no, I don't know about Houdini, but
I'm building the moment
yeah,
up.
the ball. Well, we have video. It'd be one thing to build it up with no video, but you got to go with what. So there's a jump ball between 2 defenders and an offensive player, and the ball just falls to Nick Fonseca, and he's the hero.
How good are the receivers for the Rams? Fonseca, Quintanilla, the 2 Knicks, and Effany Lewis. Now, Effany Lewis had 10 catches, close to 200 yards. He had Mosley-type numbers in this game and 3 touchdowns. The Rams have a great offense.
Yeah, and I don't know, are they all seniors? Are they coming back? Do you know?
I think they're seniors.
Yeah, it was a great year, a great 2-year run for Southgate. You know, I always got to bring it up just because it was such a dramatic finish. But they got to the D2 final, I think, last year. Maybe it was D1, but I think it was D2, and they ended up losing in a dramatic fashion. They kind of shot themselves in the foot. They lost to Chatsworth in the city final. They bounce back and find themselves in the D1 final. Oh my gosh, they're going to lose to Marquez. Oh, no, they don't. They ended up getting that Hail Mary. They succeed, and now they're city champs.
D2 city final. Not a giant surprise here. A familiar name, the San Fernando Tigers, 21-14 over the number 1 seed Cleveland. Fernando was the number 2 seed, so this was expected. Andrew Newchurch with his 16th touchdown run of the year. Newchurch's run won the game.
Yeah, I believe it's San Fernando's 8th city title. Okay, 9th, so they had 8 coming in. Okay, that sounds right. Yeah, so the Tigers went, you know, it's one of the more storied city section programs. They haven't been very good for a while, but Division II championship, still worth celebrating.
And the last one we'll look at, lowest level for the city section, Santee, 35, Hawkins 6. Darnell Miller, great running back, over 3,000 yards this season for Santee, rushes for close to 200 in this game and 3 scores.
Yeah, really impressive year, and I think at that level, unfortunately, I will say it, you know, you have one player that can dominate, and so that's what Miller did. Congratulations to Santee for winning the city championship. And congratulations for Hawkins to get back. That was a program that had a lot of issues, CIF violations, recruiting, program goes dead, people transfer out, and here they are back in a city final.
All right, in city football in the flag side for the girls, Marshall won the highest division. Congratulations for the Barristers' victory over Eagle Rock. Now, what the Barristers did was really remarkable here. They knocked out San Pedro in the semis and Eagle Rock in the finals. Marshall was a 3rd-place team in the Northern League. They beat the teams in front of them. Eagle Rock was the champion of that league. They knock off San Pedro from the Marine League. They knock off all the top teams and stun the city and win the title.
Yeah, it's all about playing your best ball at the right time. So kudos to those ladies, and that's a remarkable run. Definitely an unforgettable one.
All right, it's time to talk point counterpoint. What was the greatest performance in the championship game? Was it Trent Mosley's work for Santa Margarita in the finals against Centennial, or was it Southgate quarterback Michael Gonzalez throwing that Hail Mary and putting on a performance in the big victory against Marquez? Tarek, you're up.
Yeah, for me, it's Trent Mosley. I think you're talking about the highest level of high school football in the country. And though it didn't, see, that's what makes it more remarkable, is that you're going to say that it looked too easy. Well, that's a credit to the athlete. It's not his fault that Colonel Centennial didn't know what to do with him because he was so dynamic. Here we go. Love this. Rolling the highlights.
Hey, you're getting
again.
highlights
no,
on your point counterpoint.
Thank you. I mean, he's running right past guys. He's going to SC. He's a dynamic playmaker. Let's not forget, this guy was the Trinity League Player of the Year as a sophomore. He's one of the most dynamic players in high school football in the whole state, and he showed it in the granddaddy of them all at the Rose Bowl, given level, game, and arena. I don't think you can find anyone that gave quite the performance like Trent Mosley of Santa Margarita.
Are you kidding me? Great performance by Mosley. Tremendous. Trent's a great player. He mentioned it. He's going to USC. Michael Gonzalez's performance transcends anything. This is legendary stuff. Not only this Hail Mary for 39 yards to Fonseca. I know it's Fonseca.
Okay, okay.
Conning the
That was good,
defense. Thank you. I get a shout out. Not only that one touchdown that we spotlight, he got them to 2 touchdowns. He led them to 2 touchdowns in the final minute. What was his final numbers? 450 yards in the air, 6 touchdowns. I don't care about the competition. I don't care that the fact that it wasn't at the Rose Bowl. The football field's the same everywhere. The Hail Mary, the touchdown passes, the clutch performance. Mosley was great. No pressure. Dominated the game. He could have dropped a couple of those passes. They still win the game, Santa Margarita. Here, Gonzalez was the difference. He brings them a championship. That's my point. Isn't point counterpoint fun?
Well, I guess you could say there is a difference in the football fields. Rose Bowl's grass. But anyway, I digress.
It's still 100 yards, is it not?
You said there was no difference. I just pointed out a huge difference.
Okay, in the final couple minutes, we'll just blow that off. Let's take a look quickly at some of these games. We won't get into these games because we'll have the results next week.
Yeah.
Cathedral Catholic, Los Alamitos, those are 2 tremendous programs.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. I think it's going to be a great matchup for those 2 teams. I mean, really, really good quality football right there.
And Cathedral Catholic out of San Diego. The next game we want to look at, there's our guys from Oxnard, Pacifica, 14-0. I always said, it's because their coach is Mike Moon, they're over the moon in Oxnard, 14-0. But you like Granite Hills. You think they're good.
I do. They beat Lincoln, and that's pretty much always not all. Obviously, they're a little down because they were in the D1 final down in the San Diego section. But if you beat Lincoln, you're a pretty good football team. So, and they like to air it out. There'll be a lot of points in that game.
Next game we're going to look at, La Habra's really young, so that concerns me. Most of the teams in the Bakersfield area aren't that great, except for Bakersfield Christian. They have great heritage.
Yeah, and there's always a good basketball program, too, there at Bakersfield Christian. I wonder, I don't know if, my guess is this game's at Bakersfield Christian, so La Habra's got to go on the road.
It is in Bakersfield.
It's going to be a tough game. I wonder if Bakersfield Christian's probably the favorite in that game.
There's no question who's going to win the next one, right? Rio Hondo Prep. We love those guys. Hey, but it's 2 unbeaten teams.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think 2 identical teams. They both like to run the ball and so on and so forth. So I just can't bet against Rio Hondo Prep, so give me RHP.
I don't want you betting anyway. We like Ventura, another team out of Ventura County. They got a game with Arroyo Grande. They should be favored here.
Yeah, I think Ventura, the Cougars are going to win. Arroyo Grande up north, kind of near the DePovo, San Luis Obispo area. Not really known for its football, if you don't mind me saying, so give me Ventura.
How about Carson, the city champs? They get a home game against Kennedy of Delano. I think the Colts have a real good shot here.
Yeah, this is where I'm always curious about these regional games, and let me tell you why. Because you get these intersectional games. So you get a city section power, Carson, against, a mid-tier California team. So I don't know, man. I kind of think it's hard for me to see a city section team get to a state final.
Okay, we got Hillcrest and Beckman. That's an interesting game as well. We always love our Beckman Patriots. Again, they were on the air here on LA 36. Probably going to have them on a few times next year. We'll go with Beckman in that one. Let's bring on the next one. We'll try to quickly get through this. Here's Bishop Union and Southgate, identical records. And here's that case again, a city section team against the southern section.
If Southgate's hosting, I like them. Because if Bishop Union's up by Bishop, which is like a million years away, that is far. That is a trip and a half. So give me whoever's not on the road in that game.
Southgate's home, so you like Southgate the Rams.
Yes.
Okay. Then we've got a couple more here to go. Morse of San Diego against Grace from Simi Valley. Another interesting game. Long trip there for the team from San Diego.
Correct. They're playing at Moore Park College. I like Grace Brethren. Morse has one player that leads their team in rushing and receiving, and he's got like close to 40 touchdowns. 2,500 yards rushing. I think he's like 800 yards receiving. He literally does everything for them. If Grace can slow him down, they'll win the game.
And the final 2 games we'll look at, San Fernando versus Woodbridge of Irvine. A couple SoCal teams, of course, San Fernando from the city. And Santee and South El Monte. That's the rundown for the regional bowl games. Of course, Santa Margarita and De La Salle are next week. Tark, the show's over. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I think all these regional games will be fun, and then you get crowned a state champion the following week if you can win 2 games in a row.
Roll up the paper. We get to see the arm. It's a fun show. Got to talk about all these championship games. We'll have the regional results next week right here on SoCal Prep Report. So for Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you next time, Mike. Sure,
It's
he's
the
gonna
read option. Like,
you
you got to either
gotta
hold
come
the
up with
edge.
new shtick.
So if
He
the
needs
edge
new
commits,
shtick at
you
the end
pitch.
of the
If
program.
the edge stays out, you keep
Now
it.
he's doing football coaching for us.
Missed it.
That's it. The show's over.
Fumble.
Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.
Fumble.
That's not a fumble. It's you gave it away. You missed your pitch.
That's the turkey still alive.